Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with cast with me, Imperial Dane, your host. And today we have a 1 versus 1 for you on Beaux Lowlands. Yes, indeed, it is Beaux Lowlands. We haven't seen this map in quite a while, but I did receive a match on this rather recently, and a rather interesting one, at least I thought so. Beaux Lowlands, of course, being a rather different map from Longer or Angerville or any other map for that sake. It's a rather large one, about the size of Copycat, I think, but at the same time much better structured. I think it's not ridiculously open with numerous cut-off points. Rather, you're seeing this wooded landscape with plenty of paths, yet also plenty of points where you can actually mount a decent defense. But you're also seeing this huge river dividing the map in two with only a few crossing points, where at the same time creates a sort of natural front line. At the same time, it's so large you can't actually logically defend it all without having to weaken all of your defenses. So of course it also becomes a matter of where to defend, what to defend, and why defend it. All of these rather highly strategic considerations this map brings with it, of course, making it interesting. Of course, there's some that don't like it, but then again, why are they then playing a strategy game is the question. Anyhow, so let's go have a look at our opponents. In the northern corner we are seeing Revan 1992. Could perhaps be a reference point to Knights of the Old Republic, where there was a chap named Revan. And in the southern corner we are seeing Pattonslayer with a Schwimmwagen. Interesting. Pattonslayer, perhaps a friend of Rommelslayer, I cannot say. Nonetheless, we are of course seeing the Britisher of the I don't know, let's say the Grenadier Guards making their way towards Caen, being halted by the reconnaissance battalion of the 12th SS. And let us see how this goes, shall we? British versus Panzer Elite opposing front's forces. Quite interesting, quite interesting. Infantry section on the way rather speedily from the headquarters command track. No lieutenants for him. He wants as many bodies on the ground as possible. Quite interesting. Schwimmwagen going towards the east, not the west though, where there is a high yield munitions point and some fuel right there. So that's generally a bit better off. Of course there's a cut-off point, but at the same time it's so close to the base it's not going to be that much risk. And of course it is rather more defensible also due to this nature of things. And a second Schwimmwagen. My goodness, no Panzer Grenadiers as of yet. No Panzer Grenadiers as of yet. It's a rather interesting start from both sides. No lieutenants or Panzer Grenadiers. No, there we go. A lieutenant. Lieutenant for the British, I suppose. And that ever so nice British soundtrack going off in the background. The Schwimmwagen being a sort of amphibious version of the Kubelwagen, was equipped for reconnaissance divisions and such, reconnaissance elements and such. Particularly the SS, I believe, had some nice amounts of it. Was of course rather good when having to ford rivers and such. Was also used during the retreat of Falaise, of course, where it was able to get across the points there without the need of a ferry or bridges. Recon section though moving straight for this area, ignoring these rather two nice resource points, but going straight for this, perhaps hoping to deny the 12th SS this fuel point. Rather interesting move, but no, instead going for this munitions point instead of this one. Well, not entirely sure. And the lieutenant does not hook up with these chaps. No, instead they go there and he there, and now the headquarters command track is moving towards this point. Interesting, some rather curious strategies, tactics. Panzer Grenadiers engaging these reconnaissance section troops around here with the Gewehr 43s, opening up rather close engagement. Further Panzer Grenadiers marching in. One down from both sides, but I don't think these reconnaissance chaps will be the ones to make it out there alive, as they do take a small hit in combat effectiveness for their extra mobility. Of course, that is something to keep in mind. I do seem to still have a bit of a cold, I apologize. Further Panzer Grenadiers marching out for the fatherland. The 12th SS Hitlerjugend, of course, being rather infamous for having drawn most of the recruits from, of course, the youth organization by the same name, although for the most part it wasn't really that they were much younger than any other division, at least not in by 1944, 1943, but later on, but at the same time, pretty much every other SS and Wehrmacht division, of course, used anyone at around that age, as they, of course, are much better than, say, a chap at around 30 or 40, and for the most part, those chaps were relegated to fortress divisions and other divisions that weren't really expected to do so much as, say, for example, the ever elite SS divisions. And we are seeing a small engagement here, British chaps taking on these Schwimmwagen type, and of course the British themselves this time were of course having some severe manpower issues, which in fact forced them to, even after Caen and D-Day, to rather scrap several divisions so they can actually get some replacements for all the other ones. And of course that's not perhaps the part you hear so much about, and of course the fact that this is actually due to reluctance. The British chaps weren't that much keen on moving about without any lieutenants, and had a tendency when out to actually supervise them to just dig in and wait for the enemy to come. That was sort of a problem for the British, and of course also led to some rather high lieutenant losses and such, since they actually had to do most of the work and stand around much more often, which did make them much better targets for the snipers. Lieutenant taking up position here, rather exposed and alone on his own. Reconnaissance section not moving in to support him, though. That's pretty bad, and the lieutenant will have to get out and retreat. Oh dear, looks like this lieutenant might be cut down by these Panzer Grenadiers, taking up a nice position here behind this fence. Lieutenant, no, he actually makes it out of there, goodness gracious, and takes command of the reconnaissance section, but still, that was a pretty bad engagement there. Oh, hiccups now. Panzer Grenadiers retreating, and looks like the Panzer Grenadiers are pretty spread out. Not entirely sure that's a good idea. Only 3 teams, and going straight for a logistic company and a Kampfgruppe company. And that's rather interesting. Going for both tier 1 buildings, not going for either the Panzer Jäger Command or the Panzer Support Command. That's really interesting. And we are seeing these Panzer Grenadiers probably going to be receiving some reinforcements. Interesting what will be happening from this Kampfgruppe company. And for the British, we are seeing further infantry sections. In fact, 4 infantry sections. My goodness, that's quite a lot. And a lieutenant. That's actually quite a bit rare. You see this many infantry sections out. In particular this way, since it is, of course, quite bloody expensive. You're in fact talking about, oh, I don't know, 1,800 manpower. All in all, of course, one of these is, of course, a bit free, but still a lot of manpower being used on this. And perhaps it might have been a bit more helpful to go straight for this truck, in fact, the field support truck, and then go for perhaps some sappers or a steward, but no. Interesting nonetheless, which helps. There goes, and the lieutenant was cut down. Poor Lieutenant Jones, cut down by these Panzer Grenadiers from Pattonslayer's 12th SS, and Bren guns being equipped. Of course, greatly increasing the firepower of this infantry section, making it that much more nasty. And reports of fucking Jerry's got infantry, meaning these chaps have come under engagement, taking up position in the old barn. But again, mind you, this is the perfect spot to engagement. Again, take note of windows, and if they actually mean anything, of course, tiny windows like these do nothing. These windows are not that much better, but still not the best engagement for the British. And of course, they are forced to retreat with some losses in the face of these Panzer Grenadiers. Field support truck on the way. British pushing towards here, nothing to really hold them back. Interesting scout cars. And we are seeing something else coming out of the Kampfgruppe Company. Tank buster heavy infantry, really expecting some armor, but not so much of that really at the moment though. An infantry half-track might have been a better choice to rather fight some of all this infantry in a much more mobile manner, using the sort of separation against them, and a Vickers machine gun emplacement. That's a rather interesting move, or not, I can't say. Panzer Grenadiers engaging them though. I'm not entirely sure why they are so keen on finishing them instead of engaging those Panzer Grenadiers. One chap already down. Looks like another one might go down soon, and there we go. In fact, Panzer Grenadiers retreating in time, though taking quite a bit of fire. Engagement right here with these chaps. 2 Panzer Grenadier teams, although 1 Panzer Grenadier will have to retreat. He's down very low on health, only 1 man. Come on, get him out of there. And there we go. Infantry section retreating, and field support truck getting ready. And we are seeing a casualty clearing station as well. Rather interesting, rather different game from both sides so far. Not the usual Panzer Grenadier tactics or Commonwealth tactics, either, or strategies for that matter, of course. And another Vickers machine gun emplacement. We're not seeing the sort of heavy fortification in one spot, that which is sort of derogatory called the Sim City, because you're too much busy building stuff and instead of actually fighting and taking territory. No, instead we're seeing a sort of attempt and securing all open points, decreasing the amount of infantry needed to defend everything, of course, which is of course rather interesting. Of course, any piece of armor would of course be able to break through it rather easily on infantry half-track with some tank busters in row, get behind it, knock it out, and of course then it's useless. So of course it has its weaknesses. And infantry section coming under fire, and we are seeing sappers on the way either side, perhaps expecting armor either side. Not really having it though, that's the interesting bit. That neither side actually has the armor. Sappers ready though, we will have to see. Yes, we are getting some Piats up. And this Schwimmwagen doing a bit of harassment on this high munitions point, not bad. And we are seeing some British are hiding up here. The forces of Captain Revan giving those Huns a jolly good fight. Sappers moving in, Schwimmwagen getting out of there. Schwim. And these Panzer Grenadiers are quick to get out of there, down to only 1 man. We are seeing a Panzerjäger command up. We'll probably either seeing a Marder or a armored car. In this case, the armored car will probably be the better choice, at least for the moment. And Panzer Grenadiers once more taking heavy losses, but these infantry section troops are getting suppressed by this scout car. Interesting. And German infantry on the move. And we are seeing a mortar half-track. Now this is quite interesting. I certainly have no idea why he's going for that at the moment. Might be trying to knock this out, but in that case Armada 3 might have been the better choice. But chaps are getting suppressed. Tank Buster and Panzer Grenadier suppressed. Mortar opening up though in counter fire, and we are seeing a trench being laid down right next to it. That's a bit unorthodox, and certainly not recommendable now that the mortar rounds are flying. Vickers machine gun emplacement, taking quite a bit of mortar fire. Some hitting, none others, not at all. More Vickers machine gun emplacements going down. My goodness, he's rather hoping to delay the Jerry's. But not having much luck with that. Schwimmwagen continuing every way around. And tank busters getting up into this. Oh, I'm not entirely sure what sort of structure it is though. But nonetheless, it is there. Tank busters firing away at the Vickers machine gun emplacement. Nice spot for it. Nice spot for it. And that Vickers machine gun emplacement will surely be knocked out rather quickly. And of course, that is something you want to be careful with, placing buildings like that too close to structures that can't be garrisoned by troops with anti-tank equipment. British taking up positions here in the center. No replacement lieutenant to rather speed up these sappers, and in fact it can end up biting them in the ass. And incendiary rounds being dropped into the trench. And my goodness, they are just abandoning it, not destroying it. This could end up in the hands of the Panzer Elite, and we are seeing Armada 3 hitting the ground, opening up, but it's rather meant to kill armor and buildings, not infantry. So I'm probably not going to have much luck there. And these chaps are getting back into the trench though. And assault rifles being equipped for the Panzer Grenadiers, though they're not going to shift those Bren gunners out of their trench. They will need fire, lots of it. And these tank busters will have to evacuate the building. They are taking quite a bit of fire. Bren gunners able to put up quite a bit of a fight. And now sappers are moving in, and this Marder 3 is locked down, taking quite a bit of fire from Piat shots. My goodness, and it will have to get out of there. And we are seeing it, but will the sappers knock it out? No, the Marder 3 barely makes it out of there, but the sappers continue, and they might get it this time or not. No, the Marder 3 once more No, this time it actually takes a hit, rear hit in fact. Getting behind the aegis of the flak feeling. And there we go, flak feeling opening up. And looks like the sappers took quite some heavy losses. 3 down in 3 seconds. And these chaps are also forced to get out of their Bren guns blasting away. And a Panzer Grenadier team is lost to the infantry section with the Brens. Good job, good job. Not for the Mr. Pattonslayer though, who lost a assault rifle team. Infantry section moving about, and we are seeing some reconnaissance section nearby. But again, no real coordination, no support between the two. And nothing else for the British. No captain. Oh, we have one, but we are not seeing any Stuart light tanks or anything. And in fact, let's go have a look at Mr. Pattonslayer, who has gone Luftwaffe. Fallschirmjägers are getting ready. Marder 3 getting repaired. Armored cars getting ready as well. And we are seeing the captain dashing forwards. Not entirely sure why he's going this way. And another incendiary round dropped on the trench, burning them all. My goodness, get out of there. Get out of there. And infantry section taking on this. Oh dear, this is not looking good for those Tommies in the trench. Get out of there, get out of there. Come on. Only one survivor, the rest are scorched. Burned alive. A most horrific fate. And we are seeing Fallschirmjägers joining the field. FG-42s getting ready. And tank busters moving in, not entirely sure why though. And another Vickers machine gun emplacement. My goodness, we are seeing that's the 4th, although one of them was of course cancelled. Still quite a lot. And another mortar half-track. My goodness, that's a rather curious tactic, a rather curious method of dealing this. Tank buster taking on these infantry section members. And if the British commander perhaps had now gone for the tank armor command track and gotten some Commonwealth, he might in fact be able to put on quite a bit of pressure on the Panzer Elite commander, who is certainly rather on his own, rather penned in, having quite a bit of trouble breaking out. And a Bofors 40mm cannon. Bofors rather good anti-aircraft cannon used by many forces during the war. The British, the Americans, the Finns, the Hungarians, and the Romanians actually as well. In fact, the Romanians and Hungarians were in fact using a sort of Ostwind that actually used the Bofors instead of a 3.7mm flak. So that was actually, and I do believe that was actually quite effective as well. While the Germans never used it, though, I cannot say.
Attempting to seize a fuel point from us.
Panzer Elite, though, 12th SS breaking through here and here, finally overcoming some of their obstacles, laying down a lot of butterfly mines right here. Not a bad spot. Fallschirmjägers moving about as well. And we are seeing British taking this eastern area and securing it for King George.
Forward supply lines are broken.
Rather quiet game. Seems to have not slipped quite well. And a lot of infantry. We are in fact seeing 6 infantry sections. 2 of them sappers, and the rest are jolly well British infantry. 1 reconnaissance, 1 Bren, and the others completely unupgraded. But no, we are seeing rifle grenades now. And how many armored cars does he have? Or was that only cancelled or what? I'm not entirely sure. But a rather hefty blob of British infantry. A good mortar round there from this could put that to rather swift stop. And they are beginning to hit the minefield. Tank busters taking up the fight. But they are getting blasted out of their positions due to rifle grenades, pierced rounds and whatnot else. Fallschirmjägers moving in. Tank busters will have to retreat. Come on, tank busters. You don't want to die a hero for the fatherland quite yet, but sadly they did. Fallschirmjägers though opening up, taking quite a bit of fire from all this British firepower. Bren guns, rifle grenades, and they will have to get out of there. Or will they get into the trench? Incendiary round, oh dear, right into the butterfly mine, setting off some of them. Fallschirmjägers firing from a trench, and one is blown up by the rifle grenades, my goodness. And the last one barely makes it out of there. Fighting also right here. Infantry section charging right into 2 Panzer Grenadier teams with Gewehr 43s and offensive infantry 1, tearing apart them like they were something easily terrible, I suppose. Marder 3 moving in to clear out this Vickers machine gun emplacement. Sabres though moving in to provide protection as well. Opening up with a Piat guns. Marder 3 though taking quite a bit of damage. No, they are laying down mines right in front of it. If that mortar rounds hit, oh my goodness, that could be absolutely devastating. And the Vickers machine gun placement is cleared out by the... And there we go, mine set off, but the Sappers somehow survive. And Panzer Grenadiers move about, flanking the Vickers machine gun placement here. Again, you have to be careful, you don't want to have them just standing out alone. They can be flanked, and in fact this is what we're seeing here, but not dealt with though. Armored car moving in, but taking quite a bit of sapper fire. Might want some infantry support, perhaps some Fallschirmjägers or Luftwaffe ground forces. A quick infiltration here, and they could be ready to support this armored car, but no. Leaving the armored car to take all the fire. But the armored car is quick to get out of there, realizing it does not want to be blown to bits. Come on, armored car, firing away. The auto cannon doing what it does best. Shooting infantry to tiny bits. And still not looking too good for the 12th SS, though. They are awfully penned in. Awfully a curious disposition of infantry and forces. And now floating quite a bit of resources. And now we are in fact seeing a Cromwell tank. Just what Montgomery ordered to sort things out. And not much in terms of anti-tank assets for the Germans, besides a few tank busters. No, wait, the tank busters were in fact lost. Only this Marder 3 then, and of course that could be outflanked by the Cromwell. So anti-armor will be needed. Question is, what will he do? Instead, no, he's getting Luftwaffe and Fallschirmjägers, neither of which are dedicated anti-armor infantry, although the Fallschirmjäger do have Panzerfaust. I'd not rely on them solely to knock out a Cromwell. And large forces of British infantry moving out to all sides, some hitting mines, so taking quite a bit of losses. In fact, we are seeing 5 chaps here heavily wounded and in some cases dead. And section moving towards here, heading the scout car once more, which is in dire need of repairs actually. Second scout car nearby though. Looks like this scout car might not survive it this time around.
Yes, sir. You have our new orders.
Luftwaffe moving out. Fallschirmjägers also ready, but not moving out. And anti-tank grenades being prepared. Now that's a bit curious. Scout car getting out of there. In fact, we're ready for veterancy. And we are seeing the first fight. The Cromwell moving in. And the Marder 3 was not knocked out by the Cromwell, but by artillery. My goodness, that means either commando artillery or something else. The other sort. Oh, what is it now? Officer artillery, but there's no officers, so I'm pretty sure he's gone commandos. In fact, let's return to Revan. Yes, indeed, we are seeing commandos and the 25-pound artillery barrage. Cromwell sneaking about and moving in. Shots bouncing off, crushing one Panzer Grenadier, and decoy smoke being called in. Not entirely sure why there though. No anti-tank grenades being used though. Come on, scout car wrecked. More artillery this time going off on the logistic company. But nothing to actually stop the Cromwell, my goodness. Although it looks like the flag feelings are having some luck with the rear armor. In fact, doing quite a bit of damage when they do penetrate the rear armor. Not good for this Cromwell, though. And good thing that actually gets away, otherwise it might in fact have been knocked out. And Fallschirmjägers taking quite a bit of losses. Another Cromwell on the field, in this case though a command one. Still, these Fallschirmjägers are taking quite a few losses. And might they get off of path? No, they retreat in the face of this, my goodness. Medics, though, carrying away some of these British troops, but still not looking good for Pattonslayer. No real armor forces, no real armored spearhead to clear through all of this. Some spread out infantry, but without proper support, my goodness. Luftwaffe squad ready, mortar half-track, and a bit of this and that, but nothing that can actually pull through an offensive, whereas the British have several tanks. And a great deal of infantry, my goodness. And a bit of engagement here. Bren gunners firing away this armored car, not looking good for the armored car though. Unless of course the British actually decide to move about, making themselves better targets for the armored car. Sappers moving in though. Luftwaffe troops nearby, might have to stop taking a point. Mortar opening up. Tank busters also nearby ready. Luftwaffe squad will have to get out, and they do, pulling back. Oh dear, another armored car is lost. Decoy smoke being called in, forcing a retreat. Fallschirmjägers pushing through in the west, hoping to do whatever they can do. Offensive veterans, one for both teams, quite devastating. FG-42s on one, lots of munitions for the British, though they could get away with upgrading some of these chaps with perhaps some more Bren guns or rifle grenades. Looks like one infantry section might be torn apart, no, but these Fallschirmjägers will have to retreat, not the best of engagement, and my goodness, it really needs some sort of armor to push through. Perhaps a Wirbelwind or perhaps something else, but it really needs something sturdy. They can take the fire and deal it out. And Flak feeling tearing apart this infantry section, my goodness. Cutting 3 down in seconds again. And looks like another one was lost to the Flak feeling. 7 kills so far. Jolly good job, Mr. Flak crew. And a large force moving out. Well, sort of large. Luftwaffe, Panzer Grenadiers and tank busters moving towards the center, perhaps. We are seeing decoy smoke somewhere, but not entirely sure where. And Flak feeling getting another kill. And we are seeing, of course, decryption now, alerting to the fact that another Marder 3 is out. Infantry section coming under fire from Panzer Grenadiers. And now Fallschirmjägers moving in, both now with FG-42s, really putting down the fire on these infantry section troops, and they are taking quite a lot of losses. Oh dear, they might in fact be cut down on retreat. This could certainly be the thing that Mr. Pattonslayer needs if he wants to break out. But no such luck, it seems. No such luck at all. Cromwell moving about, and let us return to Mr. Pattonslayer to see what he has. In fact, he has the Henschel Panzer support. Interesting move. Certainly could be of good help against those Cromwells if you can get off a good shot. Marder 3 and tank busters engaging infantry section moving in. Fallschirmjägers moving in to clear out the infantry supporting the Cromwell. Good job here. Artillery though being called in. But the Cromwell is gone and the Fallschirmjägers are tearing apart this infantry section. Marder 3 though lost in the artillery barrage. Absolutely horrific losses on both sides, although I do think the 12th SS got away a bit better this time around. And we are though seeing Fireflies ready to really knock out any Jerry armor. This could of course prove to be rather fatal for the Marder 3s. And further large forces of British infantry getting ready to move out now with a Cromwell command tank in support. Not going to do much to help them though. Third Marder 3 actually getting ready. And a hiccup. Fallschirmjägers now with Veterancy 2 opening up. Absolutely devastating. Tearing apart these infantry troops as if though they were conscripts. Or just made of paper, my goodness. They truly are some of the best infantry in game. Decoy smoke being called in, rather putting a quick stop to those. Fallschirmjäger, Panzer Grenadiers though ready to cover their retreat and get a nice shot. Oh my goodness, 2 sabers are lost. Mortar rounds flying in. Firefly moving in for a base. Assault tank busters ready to support. And a Marder 3. This could in fact, oh dear, he's moving in the Fireflies. If those was a regular tank, this could actually end up proving to be its demise. Anti-tank grenades being thrown. And the Marder 3 gets up. Oh dear, it actually deflects the shot. But another nice shot there on the Sherman Firefly. Further shots. This Firefly is in fact in dire straits, having gotten too close to the enemy base without support and out of control. And fighting here, a flak feeling being placed here in the center. Good job though. Although they can be rather easy to knock out, an anti-tank gun, for example, can knock them out in 2 shots, which is a bit unfortunate, but still, against the British, it's going to have a nicer margin of success, and we just saw there, really slaughtering down 5 British troops in seconds, allowing him to free up troops for other purposes. So nice job there, and German Panzer Grenadiers pushing towards the west, with a bit of Fallschirmjäger support. The British are in fact slowly getting beaten back. Unfortunate use of armor and perhaps not anything to really support the infantry. For example, a mortar pit or perhaps a 25-pounder gun howitzer could also have been of great use. Or perhaps getting some commanders down. Not entirely sure what this command tank is hoping to achieve by taking on this flak feeling. Seems a bit curious, to be frank. Oh, a diversion. Actually remember that unit AI actually has priorities, and if it sees something you can actually deal with, it will of course engage, and in this case of course it means these British troops are getting torn apart by the flak feeling. My goodness, and they are forced to retreat, and another engagement going on here. Artillery support raining down on the Fallschirmjägers, but the Fallschirmjägers dodge it all and tearing apart the sappers, blasting them apart and just killing them, slaughtering them, massacring them. Further British infantry moving in, still no lieutenant, which could also be of help. And what is this? We are seeing a flak 88 providing quite a bit of firepower. Not hitting anything though. Fallschirmjäger sitting on this rifle Grenadier section, slaughtering them, and we are seeing butterfly bombs being dropped while these British troops are getting killed, and commandos dropping in though. And oh dear, that was a bit unfortunate, getting blasted apart by the flak 88 just as it was landing, and the commandos inside absolutely blasted to bits. They shall not be making it out. And Fallschirmjägers tearing apart this reconnaissance section as well. And tank busters clearing out this Vickers machine gun placement in the east. Rather interesting, we saw a lot of Vickers machine gun emplacement, no other emplacement, no buffers, which could actually have been of help, no 25-pounder gun howitzers, no 17-pounders or any mortars. Oh well, but things are beginning to actually look a bit grim for the British. Having managed to turn things around, Mr. Pattonslayer is now really putting on the pressure, attacking on all sides and really inflicting some heavy casualties with his elite Fallschirmjägers, his mortar, and the flak 88 just tearing apart any commanders trying to drop in too close, which is just as it should be. In fact, quite a nice build of anti-aircraft guns, flak feeling and flak 88. Although not quite capable of supporting each other, they are quite capable of acting rather nastily and denying any sort of passage for opposing forces. Still, this area is open, and we are seeing a rather vast blob of British infantry once more moving about. And we are seeing another flak feeling getting down. Will it make it in time? Will the Luftwaffe crew be able to set up this thing, or will the British? No, it does. In fact, the flak feeling is ready, and it opens up on this horde of British infantry, and the flak 88 also joins in. Who shall win? Luftwaffe crew do not make it out though, and the flak feeling doesn't actually manage to get 3 kills already, and further kills in fact as it just continues to blast away, tearing through sappers and infantry section members alike. Flak feeling also getting a few kills, although looks like the flak feeling is taking quite a bit of fire from the Piats, and it is lost. Still, it managed to do quite a bit of damage on the British and allowed the Fallschirmjägers to move in, getting off further kills. The British troops are, oh, they're not looking good. Not entirely sure why he decided to clump them up like this and not spread them out for numerous offensives. The Wirbelwind's getting ready now. Another flak panzer, of which Germany had several types. The Wirbelwind, Ostwind, and the ones we rather know in company views, although not the most numerous. There was also one based on the same tank chassis as the Martin, known as the Gepard, and there was also the Möbelwagen, which had a rather curious design. Tank busters having to get away, but not before they blast the poor chap with the Panzerschrecks. And a rifle grenadier section staying around, getting down by Fallschirmjägers. My goodness. And looks like well, it was a good start for the British, and now it's turned sour. Partly due to some over-aggressiveness at the wrong times, losing them some armor when it should not have been lost, but also some rather curious defensive tactics. And Wirbelwind moving into the base, getting a bit too close on the sappers though. Bad move, bad move. Wirbelwind taking quite a bit of damage, down to half health. But it continues to blast away, but looks like the sappers might knock it out. Or not. Yes, there we go. Wirbelwind lost, sending its crew into the deep river.
The enemy is down to 200 points.
And Pattonslayer apparently saying he did not order it to go there. Defensive veterans on this flag failing, and recon section running straight into it. My goodness, getting torn apart. 2 already down, cut down. Artillery being called in on the flag failing though. Large British force moving across here. And another Wirbelwind being called in. And running straight into another butterfly minefield. Or a butterfly field, I suppose. Although not quite real butterflies out there. As far as I'm aware, butterflies don't explode. And medics doing their jaunty task as always. Fallschirmjägers engaging. And what is this? Henschel strafing run being called in. Let us actually try and see if we can catch some of these aircraft. Opening up. There we go. Getting the Cromwell. Of course, you have to remember, you have to have line of sight, and there we go. Giving up. And a rather nice scene right there, out of any sort of good war movie. German aircraft moving in, Wirbelwind flak panzer opening up, and some poor medic with a sapper on tow going, oh bloody hell, and I have to walk through all of that. Damn it. So, there you go, a 1 versus 1 on Beaux Lowlands, a victory for the 12th SS as another offense towards Caen was splunted. So what can we learn from this? Well, of course, we saw some rather curious tactics from either side. The British had a lot of infantry. In fact, due to that lot of infantry, they were able to do quite well in the beginning, whereas Pattonslayer was in fact doing pretty badly for the most of the part because he didn't really have anything to push through. He kept losing men because he also spread them out. The British rather emphasized defenses afterwards. That didn't work out too well. He didn't get a lot of armor though, although he did have quite some success in knocking out those martyrs, but not a lot of armor. No any heavier defenses, no mortars though, and no 25-pounder gun howitzers either, which could have been of great help. And no commandos either. He rather only got them and then he dropped them in too close to the anti-aircraft guns, which is also something to remember. Be careful around anti-aircraft guns with your gliders. They will knock them out before they land and disgorge. So, of course, could have been interesting if the British perhaps use some of their munitions to lay down some mines for those sappers. I mean, sappers can't lay down mines, so why not do it? That would also have been devastating to the British. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends? If you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying, remember to lay down mines. Cheers!